Hi, and welcome to the trip. Happy New Year. I am Megan Slattery, and this is my co-host.
Tracy Evans.
Today we have a special guest, Dr. Kara Fenster, licensed clinical psychologist practicing in Berkeley, Michigan. Welcome, Dr. Fenster.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Happy to have you here. So this is a little bit wordy, but the words are worthwhile. So first question, there are those who espouse that a person must love themselves before they can love other people. Do you believe this is to be true? Is it only one step towards being ready to date? And then if we adhere to these types of pragmatic steps, do we then miss the operative romantic notions of kismet and happenstance in an unscripted meeting of people? These two thoughts both seem opposing, yet necessary. Help, signed, Confounded in Clausen. So we'll hand this off to Dr. Fenster out of the gate. Interesting questions.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting and very complicated. We're talking about self-love and love, which are there. It's a spectrum. It's not a categorical construct, meaning we don't just get to a point where we say, oh, I've accomplished loving myself for my lifetime and I can check that box, or I've accomplished loving somebody else and I can check that box. It's a constant process that is lifelong. So if we were to say that it's a prerequisite to loving somebody else, then we would never be able to love anyone else, essentially. It's something to keep in mind. Self-love is when we look at loving somebody else. Actually, let me take a step back. Loving somebody else, we learn to love other people through our primary caregivers. This is an attachment theory in the psychological community, that how we learn to love others and ourselves is through our primary caregivers and our relationship with them from infancy and on. So when we look at that perspective, we need other people in order to learn how to self-love. The challenge is that sometimes individuals can get in situations where they look towards others, they look for that external validation in order to confirm their own self-love. And when we rely solely on external validation, meaning how much we have, how other people treat us, how much we think other people love us, then we're in real jeopardy of losing that self-love when the external goes away. So, while it's important to, I think, have other people in order to learn how to love, it's also really important to develop that internal sense of love. And that can be done through other individuals. So it's not one or the other. I know part of the question was that, I'm just trying to get to the question again, that do we miss the opportunity for fate or kismet if we're just solely looking at self-love? I think it isn't. Those two things aren't in opposition to one another. Those two things can go hand in hand. Sometimes somebody comes into an individual's life that helps them accomplish some of their own self-love goals. They learn how to love themselves. They learn about things that are important to them through that other individual. And then they're also able to love that individual more deeply and more fully. When we look at fate or kismet from the kind of Disney perspective that so many kids are disillusioned by, it's you meet your significant other, you meet your partner, and then you live happily ever after. And that's not the case. We never see what happens after Cinderella gets her slipper on. We don't see how she has to grow herself and how they have to grow in their own love with one another. So, I think it is kind of in short, it's a lifelong process that someone has to be willing to go through and willing to reflect on as they move through different relationships.
Wow.
Yeah. My pits are sweating over
here. I'm actually excited. I actually probably need to call Dr. Fenster off this after this.
Yeah, right?
That was so good.
Wow.
Okay. Well, that was everything I was going to say without a PhD.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
So I just am going to add, that's so great.
Super powerful.
I think super powerful. And I love the idea, which is the truth. We have to practice love our self-love with others. You can't do this on your own.
No.
So these are not, and I liked also what Dr. Fenster said, these are not opposing ideas, kismet,
No.
happenstance, and
No.
learning to love yourself.
Yeah.
Prior to taping today, we did talk about the factors such as childhood abuse, things like that. So things that are more severe, I would also say an active addict or alcoholic, there's going to be circumstances where the people that need to love them are those in recovery or those in their therapeutic group and things like that, their therapy. And there's certain circumstances where a romantic partner is not going to be the one out of the gate to be doing that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I most definitely agree. And I think that, you know, a quick summary and one more key important point is everybody has their shit. You know, everybody has their shit. And, you know, if you're expecting someone else to not love you for your own shit, then, you know, that's wrong, because everyone has their own thing that they have to go through or process, they have to see within themselves and someone else. And it's sometimes better when someone else sees you and you're like, man, this person loves me for who I am. Now I can take myself to the next level and we can do this together.
Yes, yes, really beautifully put. Yeah, so anything else you'd like to add, Dr. Fenster?
You know, I think the only other thing I wanted to add was it's important when we look at love, there are so many different types of love. You know, I mentioned that spectrum of love. And I think what's really important, it's where self-love becomes really important and essential, is if you want a relationship that is deep and strong and stable. If you want something, you know, that is on the more extreme end of the spectrum, and I don't mean extreme in terms of unattainable, just it's difficult, because you have to be very committed constantly to looking at how you receive love within yourself, how you give love to your partner. It's a constant evolution, and it's hard work. So that's why people get kind of stuck sometimes, where they look for that external, okay, I'm just going to rely on my partner to do this for a little while, and that's okay. But I just think that the important takeaway is that for those really strong partnerships, it's important to know that ability to self-love and love others is constant work, and going to always be there in your life.
Thank you so much. That makes perfect sense. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you will consider coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
I would love to come back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
great. I'm glad
you.
the kids and the puppy were napping. Happy New Year.
Me
Yeah,
too.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
You too.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Wow. Super,
So,
super powerful.
I know. I have so much more I want to say, but I know we have a part two, a second question.
Yeah, we do.
So,
Sure.
Do you have it?
Yes, I do.
All right, good.
And we can jump right into
and
it.
you know, just while you're picking up the question, it's like you know, in the 12 steps they do say we'll love you until you love yourself. And if you're already in a relationship where someone kind of falls off or has some trouble, I think sometimes other people do have to love you back into self-love. But so there's a lot going on.
I know.
Evolution.
I know. That was so great.
Yes. Good stuff.
Awesome. So second question for today. Second question of 2019, actually.
I know.
Which is crazy.
Wow. And we've got some more after the show. But that's
so how do I stop overthinking with texting and romantic interest? I've never overthought these things in the past, but coming out of a long-term relationship and back in the dating world, I find myself paralyzed with overthinking how I communicate myself to others over text.
Stop texting. I mean, well, you know, the major, just stop, put the phone down. We should all just be putting the phone down. Welcome to 2019. No, in all seriousness, if you're uncomfortable and you are coming back, so you're probably in you said you were in a long-term relationship, you aren't going to feel comfortable right away. You aren't going to know that this person is a one word. We've covered the texting, how some people are 1 or 2 words, or thumbs up, or K, which we do not want to do, instead of okay. There's a lot of ways that people text. You don't know the person's communication style. Number 1, do not take it personally. Number 2, edit down what you're saying through text and make the majority of what is going on in communication in person, and take a pause, have some time for kisses and other good things.
All
but,
that good stuff.
Overthinking, you aren't alone in that. The text can be burdensome, especially with your nervousness and maybe it sounds like insecurity coming back into the world. Build up what you're stronger at. And strong suit, I think, for most of us, for all of us, is in person.
Yeah.
Why would it be through the phone?
Right.
What about you, Tracy?
Same. We've always said it. We've said it multiple times on this show. Communicating in person is most important, but
Yes.
communicating period is very important. And if you think you're trying to overthink those things, same as this last question, you're not alone.
You're not alone.
That's the crazy part about all of these things. Most of these things, you're not alone. I feel like we all feel like we're the first person to have these thoughts or these things. You're not. So many people have also gone through these things. And take a second, breathe. It's the first couple weeks of a relationship or texting someone. Just breathe in and actually take it in and stop trying to think about all of the other things. You'll know. People respond to each other, and when that communication is there and it's built and it's going and it's flowing, you'll know. You won't have to take the time out to be like, well, oh God, am I? Is this too much? Am I texting too much? Is this whatever?
The best comedy comes from these moments of total insecurity. So laugh a little, enjoy yourself, and good luck. Continue on, be brave, and put the phone down. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks for joining with our. Thank you, Dr. Fenster, for joining us as well.
Right.
All right, we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.
Bye.